Hey everybody, this is the Drop the Beat podcast. My name is Charles Laurita, and I am joined by...
Will Sarver.
I know him. He's a great guy. And
yeah, he sounds nice.
He's all right. He's pretty cool. We're doing this episode of the podcast remotely. We are not in the same place at all because of the quarantine kind of thing, which I do legitimately miss you, and this is very sad and difficult.
Yeah, I could say the same.
Yeah, this isn't that fun.
Yeah.
But
we're making it work.
We're going to do the best we can, honestly, I think, with this whole kind of thing. But, I mean, you know, despite that fact, I think we're still incredibly appreciative for everyone listening to us beat off for this episode. I think that's
Absolutely.
very, very important.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Listen closely.
Yeah, please do. I know Will can see me right now. No one else can see me. Thank God, because I have just this incredible Jack Sparrow facial hair grown in. I haven't done my hair in like weeks, probably at this point.
I like it.
No, I look homely, man. I do not look great. It's not good.
You can probably smell me from over there.
Yeah, it's we're all sorts of messy. This is disgusting. I am so happy that it's not like filmed, so that's pretty good. But for any of you guys listening, how this show essentially works, it's all about music and music-related topics, and what you guys have to do for us to discuss something is go to www.charleslorita.com/contact, and there is a little box there you can put in your name and stuff like that and put a topic or question or anything like that for us to discuss in a long format, which is pretty cool, which we have a question today, which I think is pretty fantastic.
Yes, because we love questions.
We do. We live on that nonsense,
yes,
man.
Yes, please ask.
We're so bored in isolation. God, I'm here in the old rat cave recording, and Will's in his really fancy, pretty house, and we're all, apart and separate and sad. It's not great.
We're doing our part.
We are. We are.
Staying home.
This is the most intense social distancing because I think we're about 17 minutes away from each other. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's many 6 feet.
Yeah, that's anti-social distancing at this point. so that's fine, I guess. But we do nonetheless have a question that was sent to us, which is great. We've been getting a lot since we kind of put out, asking people to send us stuff in. This one comes from Robert C. from Pennsylvania, so he is right across the pond.
Yeah,
as they say, and
a stone's throw away.
You could say. It could most definitely be.
Yeah.
Depending on how hard you can throw said stone.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know. I'm not very good.
Depends on wind and humidity and all that.
Yeah, barometric pressure has a lot to do with it as well. But that's besides the point. But Robert C. writes in, and he says, I haven't been playing long, and a lot of my friends keep suggesting incredibly expensive gear. What are your thoughts on expensive versus cheaper musical equipment? And I'm thankfully he said musical equipment because he said I haven't been playing very long, and I was like, playing Nintendo, playing the radio, I don't know, but musical equipment.
Yeah.
So that's great. So I'm assuming at this point he is some sort of starting blossoming musician. So that's cool.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear.
So Robert, that is fantastic for writing into us. We appreciate that. And this is one you and I talk about a whole lot, where it's like,
yeah, quite often.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we've both been at this end of ridicule for not buying $1 billion instruments and things like that. But Will, I think you should start this guy off. What are your general thoughts about this thing? I mean, honestly speaking, where do you stand on expensive versus cheap, or not cheap, less expensive? I guess we could say.
Yeah, it could be all the same. Well, I think, first off, I think you and I both can say that we own both.
We do.
Right?
Well, we're rich. We're musicians, so we
Yes.
have as much money as you can imagine.
Exactly. so I would start with that. I mean, I personally don't have top of the line gear.
Yeah.
I would say it's definitely not the most expensive that you can buy. I do have some higher end stuff, but I also have stuff that I still have since I've was a kid starting out playing. I still use that stuff.
Oh yeah, so do I. I mean, I wouldn't say like ungodly expensive, but I mean, I do have some big guns, and I just did air quotes for that, if anyone was wondering.
Right. Some nicer pieces, you know.
Yeah, and I think everybody does, but are they a necessity? Does that really relate to any quality or caliber of playing or musicianship?
I would say no.
I would completely agree.
Yeah. I've heard some incredible things being done by musicians on kids' toys.
Yeah. So, how many videos have we seen where it's like so and so plays a Hello Kitty drum kit or a SpongeBob guitar?
Exactly. Yeah.
And this kind of relates, I think, to anything in the arts. It's the same kind of thing where it's like, you're a fabulous, physical fine artist, and it's like, why are you using crayons? And it's like, because if you're a good artist, you could use anything,
Yeah, you know how to work the tool. I think that's everything.
I mean, granite. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, a lot of music, I think, and playing, it really depends on, it's the musician that pulls the tone and everything out of the instrument. So it's, it's how you strike a drum. And for me and for you, it's, how you strum and pick and do all sorts of things and different techniques is what really gives the sound. I mean, obviously it should be in tune.
Yeah.
To start.
It should also be playable to a degree. Like, it can't be like ungodly falling apart. Like, there are some, it's not like, I found this drum kit in the woods. Make it work, Yeah.
But I mean, there are street performers playing on buckets that sound pretty darn good.
Oh, those dudes are awesome.
It's really creative.
That was like when we were gigging in Asbury Park not too long ago, and we were seeing guys down there in Asbury. We were taking a walk on the boardwalk, and those dudes were like just absolutely incredible. And yeah, they're like Home Depot 5-gallon buckets.
Yep, exactly.
Coolest sound you could ever have.
Yeah, it's that is a good demonstration of somebody that knows how to play and is bringing the tone and the sound out of the said instrument, whether it's a bucket or a real drum.
Yeah.
It's really all in how you strike it, and so I mean, that's where I stand on things like that. I don't think you need, especially starting out, I would never ever recommend somebody buying something expensive or high end, because for many reasons. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, that was always
what
one
I
of
usually say.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the hard parts. I mean, granted, I just teach there, but working in a music store where you have a lot of people who work for sales goals, and they just want to get a sale. Yeah,
commission.
So they've commissioned for they're working for, so they try to sell $400 amplifiers and $600 guitars, and the kid can barely tie his shoes, and it's like, it's you don't need that. Like that, I always hate, and it's a lot of times I wish sometimes parents buying for their kids or more so like that would try to educate themselves a little better, I guess.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do think that does make you good. Like, if you're not going to be great if you don't play on this like $8,000 whatever. I mean,
right.
think of how many people you and I have worked with. Especially like, oh God, in the realm of like photographers who've shot stuff for the band. We've had some fabulous photographers. But we've had work with people where they have the best cameras and the best lenses and just have no idea.
And their foot's in the shot.
And they have no idea how to use it.
That's my favorite.
And it's a shame, and it's really hard because it's like you think that the price of all of this equipment is going to make up for the lack of knowledge, or that is the substitute for the knowledge, where it's like, oh, I don't have to be good because this is going to do the job for me. And I always say, if you're a good photographer, you could do it on your phone. You could do it on a disposable. You could do it on a Polaroid. Yeah. You could get a notebook and sketch it with stick figures and make it look good.
Right. And yeah, as far as like what I would recommend to people is like, if you have the money, and it's something that you want to do, I would rather you invest that money into education. I would rather you take the time to go take lessons or learn, or not so much just the money, but invest more time into learning.
Yeah.
And trying to perfect playing the instrument or whatever it is. And then like later down the road when you feel very comfortable, and then that's kind of the time where you know, maybe it's, you know, it is time to upgrade, and you know, then you can start developing a feel for certain things, and you're like, well, you know, this actually feels a lot better to play with on this instrument because of this and that, and
oh yeah, definitely.
I didn't honestly, I bought my own drum set on my own.
Yeah, I was going to ask what kit, what did you start out with? Like, what was your starting thing?
My starting kit was, well, first my dad played, so there were drums in the house, but that's kind of how I learned. And then they bought me that Tama piccolo snare that I have.
Oh,
that was my very first one.
I love that snare.
Yeah, and it's really just a whatever Tama piccolo snare, and I still play with it today.
It works.
It works, and that's what I learned on. And then we bought a used drum set from somebody that we knew. It has no badges on it. I always assumed it was a Ludwig at the time because that's what it came with on the front head, but I didn't understand that, you know, you can put any type of front head on a drum.
Yeah.
So there's no badges, there's no serial numbers, there's no marking. So that was my first drum set, and that is my drum set that I gig with.
Yeah.
When you and I play out and the band plays out, that is my
Dude,
go-to drum set.
That kit is so bitchin'. It's a workhorse, and that's like
it is.
That's the best thing,
Yeah.
because I mean, granted, some of the places we've played in, I wouldn't want to bring some of my big guns out. You know, I don't want to bring like a $3,000 guitar out there. God no, hell no.
Yeah, keep the good stuff at home. That's what I do. I gig with. Like I said, it's a drum set. I have no idea what it is. That's what I gig with. I refinished it, repainted it, and I make
it's
it look
amazing.
nice. And I put a good set of heads on it and learn how to tune, and things ready to rock. But my higher end stuff I keep at home.
Yeah.
I baby it. It's in a temperature controlled room. It doesn't get moved around a lot. That's
And that's
I don't
almost
have money like that to just throw. This is a throwaway.
Yeah, and that's almost like the downside of having such nice stuff, because it's like you don't want to do anything with it. You're like super cautious with it.
Oh no, I mean you and I see people rolling up with the most expensive. I mean, I'll see a guy with $3,000 worth of cymbals alone.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, I wouldn't like you're. It's on people. People are crawling over things, and people are moving chairs and bar stools and things like that, and spilling drinks, and I'm just watching him set it up, and I'm like, I would never ever do that.
That reminds me of the gentleman who was in the one band we saw, who looked like Bobby Hill.
That's who I'm talking about.
Was that who you're thinking of? Oh, that's great. Great minds think of King of the Hill. That dude had, oh my God, thousands of dollars worth of like Pisces cymbals and just like
Pisces cymbals.
highest
DW
end
drum
shit
set.
he could have. Oh my God, that was ridiculous. Like they're just like wheelbarrowing in more and more toms from the setup. The whole time he's just cleaning everything as other bands are playing. He's like sitting. Oh my God.
Yeah, please, people don't tune your drums in the middle of other people playing.
No, that's fairly frowned upon. But now, see, that's the other end of the spectrum where it's like, we always say, oh, you don't need an expensive kit, but that doesn't mean, you can just walk into a club where they say, oh, here's our drum set. Our house drum set, and it's just like a big piece of shit, and it's like duct taped together, and it's like, okay, no, there is a preference where it's like 2 drums and like the chair is like a toilet seat, and it's just like it's just like
actually sounds kind of nice.
But then it's funny because on the flip side of that, like I always see videos of kids in like South Africa and stuff where they're building instruments out of literally garbage. Like there's kids making drum kits out of like buckets and oil drums, and cymbals are like hubcaps, and they're like really good players. And it's that idea where it's like doesn't have to be a good instrument to be a good player, and it blows my
100%.
mind every time when I see stuff like that. I mean, like I said, I have my big guns, but
what was the first one?
My first guitar?
You asked me, so I have to ask you. I feel obligated.
That's stupid. I hate this game. No, my first guitar, it was a Dan Electro, and they are not very expensive. I still have it. It still plays awesome. I don't get rid of my guitars. I don't sell my guitars. I have sentimental value.
Have I seen this one?
It's black with sparkles. You probably haven't.
I don't think
Well,
so. By the way, for you listening, Charles has like 50 guitars, so I've only seen maybe 3.
I think 18. Serious number. I think I have 18.
It's a real problem.
Yeah, it's starting to look like a music store around here. But it's I don't play it as much. I should restring it though, which is kind of cool because it wasn't that expensive. The cool thing about it was you had a spot for a 9-volt battery, so it had a little button on it. There was a distortion button built into the guitar.
I was going to ask what the 9-volt was for, but
usually if you have a battery in a guitar, it's for like active pickups or active electronics. But it was really cool, and it was like your kind of like a Stratocaster knockoff, and it was kind of not clunky, but it was like you rest your hand too much on the bridge because it had a whammy bar bridge, so it would like go out of tune and warp. So my uncle, who does all my luthier work, he set the bridge into place because I wasn't going to be playing with a whammy bar anyway. It plays awesome. I love that guitar. I mean, that was the first like 2 years of me playing on that thing, and it means a lot to me, for that it was cheaper. And then the first guitar that I bought was my second guitar, and it was it was an awesome black Ibanez, which that's one of my favorites to play. And geez, I paid for that myself with like allowance and money and like raking leaves and shoveling snow money, and I think it was like a $320 guitar. It's like not expensive, and that is like probably my favorite. That I think is my favorite guitar, and that is that thing's a workhorse. God, I was 11 when I bought that, and I'm much older than that now, and it's still all original parts, and the thing plays like a machine. I love it to death, and
they don't make them like they used to.
No, I mean, I got so much shit for, and I know anyone watching who's seen our videos, I have a red Telecaster, or it's like we call it the cherry, or not cherry, we call it tomato cream Telecaster. And I've had that in a bunch of videos.
That's a Squire?
Yeah, it's a Squire. Yeah.
I love that guitar.
Which is the lower end Fender stuff, and that was what I call my car crash guitar because I had a really bad week. It was when the band started gigging again after a hiatus, and we had like the best gig at Fran's that one night. And
I know the night.
Yep, and it was a great night. That was for reasons. And I went the next day. I was going to leave my house to go to Petco to get crickets for my frog, and I got in a big old bad car crash. Long story short, I lived, which is cool. But I was really sad for a while, and I remember I went into work, and that guitar was on the wall, and it caught my eye because it's like this pinkish red, and it was like an $185 guitar, and it was cheap, and it was a Squire, and I picked it up, and it felt great. Fret job was awesome. It played awesome. It sounds great. All stock stuff. With my discount, it came to like $132, and I literally I literally went home. I got my big jar of coins I'd been saving. I had like $300 in that, and I cashed in. I bought that guitar at Pocket Change, and I love that thing. I record with it all the time. I mean, I gig with it all the time. It's great, and I got so much shit for that because a lot of the time it would be like my older students. I would, a lot of people always ask, what's your age range of students? And I have my youngest right now is 6 or 5 actually. My youngest is 5, and my oldest are in their late 60s, early 70s.
That's a range.
Yeah, and I would have say Velcro shoes at both ends of that spectrum. But I would have so many of my older students be like, why are you buying these, cheap, like shit Chinese guitars? And these are the guys who would have like multi-$1,000 super shop Strats and Martin acoustics and all this stuff. And the thing is, it's like, you don't need that. And I told them, I was like, I would much rather see someone really, really work a cheapie instead of having like a guitar that you could essentially use that money and buy a car with. And you're just strumming.
It's good to see those.
You're just strumming chords, or you're just I mean, I get the midlife crisis thing. Like, I get it, whatever. Or
Well, yeah,
or what have you.
if you just have extra cash and it's a hobby and you want to spend the money, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go
but,
nuts.
I mean, there's no need to give you a hard time about you of all people. You know how to play the instrument. Well, like, why are they giving you a hard time about?
I never got it, and that was the thing. And that's like the only time I kind of clap back a little bit, and I'm like, dude, this Martin guitar was $600, and you're strumming the same chords on everything you own. It's like, come on. Like, I would never want something that crazy. Like, that's too much. That is way too much guitar. Like, that's just so unnecessary.
Now, if you say you play, you play your Squier Telecaster, and then you play like a real Telecaster. I mean, how much difference do you think you're gonna get?
So that's the thing, and that's an awesome question because I think about that all the time. Where it's like,
obviously, no effects.
No, yeah,
just dry. Yeah.
Honestly, it's what you said in the beginning. It gets to the point where if you truly are a musician and you can truly play, you can make any instrument your bitch. Like, seriously.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, I remember that was a big thing at one of the local music stores. They had like the Jimmy Page, Black Beauty Les Paul or whatever, and it was a guitar. Like, it felt like a guitar. I mean, there's a lot of people like, oh, I like this radius neck and that and the pickups and the spacing and the whole rule of thumb is, you and I have known so many people who are just incredible gearheads like that. And usually it's like people talk shop that much, they do not play.
They can't play.
Well. Yeah, we've had that multiple times. Oh boy, have we?
I hate to say it, but it's pretty true.
Common. You and I had a gentleman try out for bass one night in pajama pants. He came over.
Oh yeah,
and we were doing an audition, and this guy, he was like, "Yeah, I'm a drummer too," and just saying all I like this kind of size, this and these dimensions, and that tom, and this ply, and this whatever that, and it's like, okay, cool, can you play? And that's all I care about. Like and he was, and that happened when he was playing one of our songs. He was trying to play Rat Race, and he was very stiff with it, and he's like, "Oh, well, I'm on this bass with the Bartolini pickups and the string pacing and this and that," and it's like, No, I'm talking about this is you playing it. Yeah, well, you see, because of the radius of the neck and this and that. I'm like, no, you should be able to play this on any bass. And then he was like, well, can you play it on my bass? And I was like, dude, don't open that can of worms, please.
Yeah.
Also, yes, but don't open that can of worms.
Yeah,
it's
I was hoping you were going to, but
I never like being cocky like that. I hate that kind of thing. But it's just like, don't challenge me, dude. Like,
But yeah,
like please,
people can use gear as an excuse for not knowing the material.
Yeah, like I have. I was gonna say one of my guitars I have, and this kind of goes right with it. I have an $89 Ibanez that I have. It was bought from.
How dare you spend under $100?
I was gonna say, I bought it. My dad bought it at a tent show, and it had a little like a music shop show, and it had a little tiny scratch on it, and which got touched up, and it was $89 for the discount, and I have that, and then I have my. Gibson SG Supreme. It's blue and it's amazing. It's beautiful. And I got them, that's a $2,200 guitar and versus an $89 guitar, and had them both set up by the same person. And that $89 guitar plays, I think, way more comfortably. And people wouldn't think that because they see name brand and they see, price sign. And I hate that so much where there's so many people who are just like, oh, well, the feel of this neck and this neck and that one and this one. It's like, I'm sorry, no one's like senses are that acute. Where you're,
yeah, that's
like
splitting hairs.
Here's the thing though. It's like if you're claiming to be such this, incredible player as you're saying, you should be able to do it on anything. Granted, right. I have like a guitar over here that I have on the workbench where I'm doing a fret file on because not one of mine. It's one someone had given me to like just kind of toy around and fix up. Yeah, you can't really play it because the frets are so jagged, it cuts your fingers. And I see them in the music shop like that all the time. And I'm like, how could you sell this? That's a different story where it's like you physically can't play the instrument.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be like, oh yeah, come on. Yeah, you can't drive this car? Yeah, it doesn't have a steering wheel. Like,
no, that's a good way to put it. Yeah,
that's kind of exactly where we are with that. But I always hated that people took name brand and price as like kind of the precedence for practicality or accessibility for what they're able to play. So me being a big dork, I'm into skiing, and I've been skiing since I was in kindergarten back in the day, and it was always funny because I learned to ski in like Vermont because one of my close friends had big house up in Vermont. We would always go all the time, and we would see people on the slopes, just like the super rich people who had like the big ass places up there, and they'd have their really nice like $800 jackets and the bindings and the skis and poles and goggles, like dressed to the nines, and they skied like absolute dog shit. And I thought that was great. And I'm in these shitty rental skis, and I thought I was pretty damn decent, you know. But
yeah, because you knew how to work it.
it's all that matters. I mean, with a lot of that kind of stuff. I mean, granted, like one of my favorite things we did and we filmed. We were in the Guitar Center the one time. You played the little mini kids kit.
Oh yeah, that was great. I think it was a first act, right?
Oh yeah, with some little bullshit, and it was
like
great. And dude, you made it sound good because you know what you're doing. You know how to work the instrument. You know how to paint. That's what it is. You know.
Well, I try.
And the absolute best part of that video, which if someone does a deep dive on the band's Instagram, they can find it, which is at Charles, Laurita, and the Mischief. You know, one big thing. Do you remember who liked that video and it was like the greatest highlight of our day?
It was Jonathan Moffat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Who, for if people don't know, that was the drummer for Michael Jackson.
Yeah. And that was like, I remember you and I were in the studio that day.
I was going crazy. That I couldn't believe it.
Well, because I didn't recognize the name. Because what's his nickname? Is Sugarfoot?
Sugarfoot, yeah.
So it came up as that, and we're in the studio. We're having a terrible time because whenever we get together to record, something goes wrong. I think that was the day we were having interference with a mic, and we were picking up like a radio station or something stupid.
Yeah, something.
And I was like,
ridiculous.
some Sugarfoot dude liked your drum video, and it's verified. And we were like, who? And we looked, and you were like, holy shit! And it was awesome. That was a great day.
Yeah, that was great.
So see what happens when you play little crappy drum kits.
Yeah, I could
that's what
barely
happens.
fit on it, and it was just fun to play. But yeah, the drum room at Guitar Center is a good way to test out different gear. I mean, especially, if you're newer to playing and you're not sure, you just gotta play it. I mean, you can sit down there and you can play a few $100 drum set, and you can sit down there and play a $4,000 drum set. And quite frankly, sometimes I play the $4,000 drum set, and I'm like, I'm not a huge fan of it. Like, it wouldn't be worth the money. And then I'll play like something that's worth $600. I'm like, this sounds great. I mean, drums is tricky too because the tuning is really difficult.
Also in stores, they're never set up properly. In stores like that, they're not like some of the bigger, finer warehouse ones that you shop at for drum stuff. They're not like those. But you have Jim Bob setting up a kit who has no idea what to do. Everything's backwards.
Shout out to Jim Bob.
But it's funny though for you being the expert musician player that you are. It's
definitely not.
Always
thanks for the compliment.
You're welcome, buddy. It's always good to see, it's always cool to see you sit down, and I always egg you on because it'll be like, I know you're going to make it sound good. That's the best part. So it'll be like, oh, play this really expensive kit. And then I'll be like, play the little piece of shit kids kit where it's like, the seat is the size of like a coaster and it's like ready to go like in you.
Pushing the weight limit.
Yeah, I was going to say, careful, I hope there's shocks on that damn thing. And that's always cool though. But I remember, like you said, one of those days you were just like, I was like, what did you played? Like, I forget what kit it was. I think it was some kind of Yamaha thing, and it was a very expensive kit. Beautiful shells, like it was really nice. And I was like, how's it play? What do you think? And you're like, it's a shell with heads. They're all the same. I was like, that was that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of true. I mean, it's a little harsh, but I
think we were just having a pissy, shitty day that day anyway, because everything was going wrong. So
But I don't know. That's just how I've always been. Like I don't. It took me forever to buy my very first drum set. I mean, I think, I think I might have just got out of college at the time or something like that when I actually bought one for myself. I mean, I just used what was available to me and I made it work. But,
was that your Gretsch kit?
No, that was a gift to me.
Damn, I gotta be friends with your people because I would like.
Yeah, no, that was from my grandmother gave that to me. So that has a lot of sentimental value to me. But I needed one for college because of all the jazz gigs I was doing and combo stuff. Like I needed something small and easy to maneuver and that was light. And the Catalina Club that Gretchen makes is perfect. Kit. So like that leads into another thing. It's like, shop around for, the scenario. I mean, at least for drums, like something like that, you're going to be, if you're doing jazz stuff or whatever, you're playing in really tiny spaces. You're usually tucked in a corner, and everybody's on top of you. So you need something small and compact, and you're gigging often, so you probably want something light. So
you have the worst luck as it is having to drag all that stuff around anyway.
Yeah.
And everyone in the band, we all have our hands in our pockets just kind of watching you struggle. We're like, hey, Will, how you doing? You're like blue carrying all the stuff. You look like a one-man band.
Yeah.
You're carrying all this shit in.
It's so tough, and you guys are great, and you always offer to help, but it's one of those things. It's like you can't really help besides just haul it in and out. It's like the setup
we're
process.
not setting anything up.
It's so personal and it's tricky, but I have different sets for different scenarios. I have the club set for smaller gigs, which sometimes I bring out to our shows depending on what type of thing it is.
Dude, that kit's great.
Yeah, if it's a broken down set, or if I know that this place, I'm barely going to have room for a cymbal, well, this is the kit that I'm going to need to bring. And then I have my full-size kit, and then I have a kit for recording, which that thing I love. It's gorgeous, but it's a beast. It's a 24-inch bass drum. That is a cannon, and it is super heavy because
huge.
it's a different wood than what is used for, say, the club kit. So I mean, there's woods, there's different all different types of things. But
see, that's such a good point. I never thought about that whole just like first scenario, and I've done it subconsciously all this time. I've never even realized that. You need a promotion. You need a raise.
I mean, you kind of have to. It's just not as easy as like having several guitars that could work, like an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Electric guitar and bass, and like you can switch and all around, and it's easy. It's like drums. You still have full setups.
Yeah. You got everything.
Yeah, and then you need to store them, and it's a mess.
Yeah, I mean, I still do that kind of thing. Like, we've played some rougher places, and I don't bring out any of the big guns. I did air quotes again for anyone keeping score.
Keep those locked away.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's nice to bring out the cheaper guys, and they play great. They do me well. They don't let me down. It's not like they're falling apart going out of tune. That's like I get a lot of bass gigs with filling in for people or getting hired, and if it's a little bit of a rougher spot, and I've learned this by trial and error, I'll go to a place and play 4-string and have it there, and some dude just completely hammered will come and be like, let me play your bass. And it's like, oh, great, here we go. And just grabbing and touching it because they know how to play it. So then when I go have a bass gig there again, I'll come back and bring a 5-string because no one usually knows how to play 5-string basses. So I'll just kind of put this, it's like a deterrent. So it's like, yeah, sure, you can go ahead and play. And they just kind of look at it like,
Yeah.
So,
no, that's a good point to bring up because it's also another reason why you should have maybe a mix of both inexpensive and hiring gear is for like situations like that where you can bring your cheaper or more inexpensive gear depending on the situation. And there's times where it's there's a multi-band night, and we're hosting the show, and that's amazing. Yeah, but it's a lot easier if everybody just used my drum set for time's sake, and not having them to they don't have to bring their own gear, and so they're basically sharing my drum set. So that's a good thing to know ahead of time, because I'm not going to bring my higher end stuff for everybody to come play on.
You're saying is if we had a gig and I brought not LED, but like old school Christmas lights on a freshly painted drum kit, and I just threw them on it and then just beat the piss out of your drum heads with a big muscly like wife beater, like you wouldn't like that?
No, that doesn't bother me at all. The fact that they're not LEDs and they're regular incandescents, sucking up energy and putting off heat. No, that doesn't bother me at all. But
would you like to indulge the audience and tell them that story, even though I kind of summed it up a little bit?
That is a true story, folks.
That was the night before Thanksgiving. That was a big night for us.
It was a great night.
When we used to put on our own, host our own shows.
Yeah, we had a great turnout. There was, several hundred people there. It was a lot of fun. But I think the door was like 350.
Yeah, it was great. A lot of people.
So we were hosting it, and So I was providing the drum set for all the bands, which is not a problem. But it was my very first drum set, like I mentioned before, and I refinished it, and it was literally its debut.
Yeah, I think
it was
you
the
took
first
like
time.
one picture. We had the new drum head that night.
Yes,
with the logo
yeah.
on it. Oh yeah, that was a good one.
So it was a big night. You know, I had it all ready just for this big event, and I think it was the first band, right?
First or second, yeah.
First or second, and
we went on last.
Yeah, the drummer from this band literally brought Christmas lights and draped them over the drum set.
Not only that, he also played with marching sticks.
He was a heavy hitter.
Oh boy.
I mean, he played hard. I don't play hard, and anybody that knows me knows that I'm not a heavy player. This guy was completely opposite. So I see him draping Christmas lights over my drum set, and I'm listening
I felt
to
so bad.
the band kicks in, and I can just tell that this guy is just gonna beat the piss out of these drums, and
you were like physically
dying
in pain.
inside.
I had to like hold you. I felt bad.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, he was playing so hard. I remember the kick drum was turning on him.
Yeah, because that's how hard he was kicking the damn thing.
He
you know?
was literally. So for folks that don't know, the bass drum, the one you play with your foot, has two legs that stick out, and you can adjust them that they could either have rubber feet on them or you can have the metal spike that pokes through. I had the metal spike poke through. That made zero difference. He was literally tearing up the carpet on the stage from the drum moving, from him playing so hard with his foot. I had to run up there mid-song, put my head under his ride cymbal while he's bashing it and trying to tighten up and shift the drum to help him out. And
absolutely bananas.
So that is a great reason why you shouldn't bring good gear, because at the end of the night, I had a scratched up drum set and I had craters in my drum heads. And by the way, those drum heads were brand new.
I was going to say they were all new.
all new. And for anybody that knows the price of drum heads, they can be like between $10 to $20 depending on the size of the drum. So all the way around on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drums. So you can do the quick math on that. I was not a happy camper.
Actually, you know what? If my memory serves me correctly, I believe he used all of your stuff because we were messaging the bands. Normally, like the general rule is when you're sharing a drum kit, to bring your cymbals, bring your snare. You know, that kind of thing.
Right, hardware and everything else.
I don't think he brought anything. I think he just played your stuff. Because I think he was like, oh, I forgot, or oh, I didn't bring it. And it's like, oh, great. And then, you know, Will turns white.
And
poor thing.
After that day, I stopped being a nice guy.
well, that's like, I don't let people play my stuff like that. Because I remember one time there was an older club in Trenton near us that's actually now where the Trenton Social is. It used to be called the 449 Room.
Okay.
For anyone who knows the Trenton, you know, New Jersey area, kind of where I'm based for the most part musically, or my home base. And I remember we opened for a band there when I was in high school. I was like 17. And I had my old Guild guitar with me. It's from the 70s, like my uncle's bedroom guitar. That is one of my bigger guns, but I had it with me because I love that guitar. And this kid in this band after us, he did this one giant strum to kick the song in, and like 3 strings broke.
Oh, great.
And he was like, you know, right after the song, he was like, dude, I got to borrow your guitar. And I said, hell no, man. That's not happening. And he was like,
today.
What? He's like, what? What do you do? No, dude, I know you have it. And I was like, no, absolutely not. And we left. I was like, do not touch my shit.
That's so funny.
Like, I'm very weird about that. And he had a really expensive guitar too, and he beat the hell out of it. And it's like,
yeah,
great.
have some respect for the instrument. I mean, you're borrowing somebody else's instrument, and they can be very expensive. It's just like, remember, I forget who it was. Somebody we know that has a really, really nice drum set, which I got the privilege of playing.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I do know.
Oh my god, it is super. It was very nice. Such an enjoyable time when I was playing that. But he was telling the story of he let an individual borrow and play his drum set, And I mean, this set I think retails around 3,700, something like that.
Just for shells.
Yeah. That doesn't come with a snare drum, by the way. That's typically just bass drum and the toms. And he let somebody borrow it, and he said at the end of their set, this individual stood up on the bass drum and did a stage jive off of it.
I was there. I played at that same gig.
Oh, you were there?
I was there. I witnessed it.
Oh,
it was
it
was at a benefit gig, and because that was the band who was using, because he donated the kit for everyone to use that day, and it was the band who did the dive. I mean, they were like kind of a show cover tribute whatever band. And you want to talk about someone being incredibly angry. You have a grown man putting their full weight on a kick drum and jumping off with force.
Yeah, it's not meant to be, it's not meant for that.
No, God, no.
Wow.
But, it kind of comes full circle with that, where it's like, me personally, I would never buy a $3,700 drum kit.
I don't have that money.
I think it's more so, not that I lack self-confidence, but it's more so I know where I'm at, and that's just too much of an instrument for me. I mean, granted, if you're in the realm of brass and woodwind, where 3,700 is literally a student instrument.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's a different...
That's a completely different
animal.
Whereas, I'm just like, this is too much instrument for me. Like, I never feel like I would ever be skilled enough to warrant a purchase like that. Like, that's like, I know some people who just collect guitars. They don't even play them. And they collect multi-$1,000 guitars as wall pieces and art pieces.
Yeah.
And like, that always bothers me, because it's like, yeah, someone could actually be using this. So that would be like, I equate it to that, where it's like, yeah, I have this, is way too expensive, and I'm playing all the same stuff I play on my cheap stuff. So it's like, why? What do I? What do I do for it?
No. So I mean, if we were to summarize this, what would we say?
I mean, to Mr. Robert C. from Pennsylvania, I would honestly say, and this is a good, to kind of question your buds over there with whatever instrument you're playing. He didn't specify, but it's always interesting to take a look at a lot of the skill levels or dedication, as Mr. Will Sarver said. This is me talking directly to Robert C. It's good to kind of see what the skill levels or just musicality of your friends who are suggesting to get super expensive stuff, because it's going to make you good. Because that's a huge part of it. Where I've noticed the people always telling me about, got to get your expensive guitars. Gotta have the real big pieces.
You gotta.
Aren't the most well practiced in that realm. So I personally, for me, especially for just starting out.
Yeah, real talk. Hit it.
I would. Real talk. All right, this is completely on record. We're doing this. We're doing it big. 2020 quarantine right here for you, Robert.
Yeah.
Bob, we're gonna call you Bob C right now, because this is how we do it, buddy. Honestly, the thing I love about music stores is you can go in and you can play everything. Usually, if you're nice and you're not doing like a Smoke on the Water or Stairway to Heaven nonsense, go into the store and for the time being, whatever instrument you're playing, toss out name, brand, and price. And play everything, feel everything, see if it feels good, and you might find out, wow, this cheaper one feels very nice. If I'm going to my native instrument, so it's like, this fret job feels great. It feels like a well put together instrument. It sounds good. It feels nice. For me, feeling is the most important aspect of music, not just playing wise, but instrument wise. So it's kind of like, if you're not feeling it, then that's a big piece missing. I don't know, Will, if you'd like to reiterate anything like that, or
I completely I completely agree. I would. You don't need expensive instruments to make you better, make you a better player or whatever.
You just said it way better than I did in like 5 words. I did like this big rant. My arms are flapping around, and you're just like, okay.
What you said is perfect. I mean, I do the same. I still do this. I still do it. I go into a music store or wherever, and I try and play as much as I can, and it really is all about feel. Like Charles said, ignore names and price tag and just play it. You're going to get more out of an instrument that feels better than compared to whatever name is on it. It'll get you a lot farther.
Yeah.
I would, if it feels good to you and it sounds good to you, then that's the instrument for you. I would
then it's
spend,
good.
Yeah, then it's perfect. I would spend more time and more money in becoming a better musician, player, and person, because that's what we're all about here.
Yeah.
And just educate yourself on it. I mean, that will take you further. And then down the road, if the time's right and the stars are aligned and you have money and you find something else that also feels good to you and you want to upgrade, go ahead. And then you also don't have to. You could be like me and wait 18 years to buy another instrument.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it. I mean, you don't need them. They are nice to have it sometimes, and it's also still really nice to have something inexpensive. So
I love that. That was like the perfect little sentiment to end
I'm
on
tearing
that
up.
kind of thing. No, it was beautiful. I'm going to need some tissues for multiple reasons over here. But you can all use your imaginations, because you've been listening to us beat off the whole time, and you may do with that what you will.
Yes.
But I can't even keep that together. But I really, really do. For me, sentimental value is a huge thing with music. So I don't buy instruments just to buy instruments. They have to mean something to me. I just don't like compulsive
100%.
buy.
Yeah.
But I love what you had to say on that. I think that was great. So I guess in closing, if any of you guys listening would like to submit a topic for us to talk about in a long-form discussion, go to www.charleslaurita. I can't even speak. That's how emotional I am. www.charleslaurita.com/contact, and there is a little box for you to fill out with all of your info and your question and things like that. We are also on Patreon now, guys, so if you would like to go to charleslaurita.com, and on our homepage we have a big orange ugly gaudy button that takes you right to Patreon. You literally cannot miss it. And if you'd like to support us, our Patreon is only $1 a month with that kind of thing. And we're just offering a couple small things in return. We didn't want to do a price tier kind of thing like that. We just said, $1 would be kind of cool. And of course, we're incredibly thankful for everyone who helps us out. We have a couple patrons at the moment, but the website's a hub to all of our social media. So you can get to Instagram from there. You can get to Facebook. You can get to YouTube. All of those things to follow us on. Will, did I miss anything at all? I'm really trying.
No, I think you got everything. I mean, we're everywhere. I mean, but really, just check the website out, and you can get all the info that your heart desires. And please submit questions. We love them, and we want to answer them.
Yeah, so we do. We love them lots. So, I mean, in closing, my name is Charles Laurita.
And I'm Will Sarver.
And Will Sarver, would you like to thank anyone for doing anything particular today?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone who's listening, and I want to thank you for listening to us beat off today.
Because
this is important.
Because this is the Drop the Beat podcast. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you next time.
Take care.